The Hahn Australia Cup round of 32 wraps up with not one but two teams starved of the round of 32 stage. Sydney Olympic hosting the Brisbane Roar. For Sydney Olympic, it's their first time back in these national rounds since 2021, when Sydney FC came to Belmore and beat them 4-2. And for Brisbane Roar, they have fallen in the qualifying round the last two seasons. No such trouble since the withdrawal of Wellington and Auckland. It means they are straight through to the round of 32 to come away to this famous former NSL venue. It does look like a bit of a construction site tonight, Belmore Sports Ground, because of the Canterbury Bulldogs Centre of Excellence that's being erected in the background of the pitch tonight. But the grass is green and the fans are making their way in, hoping to see another potential Australia Cup upset tonight. It is Sydney Olympic's fourth time in the national rounds, and they will be hoping that they can dig deep tonight. They are currently in last place in NPL Men's New South Wales, 1 point behind St George FC and a massive 9 points from safety. Their best hope, you would argue, with 5 games to go, is getting into the promotion relegation playoff. But tonight they have named their strongest available 11 to take on A-League opposition here. This showcase, this opportunity, and of course a bit of history behind this club. A former NSL champion as recently as 2002 Sydney Olympic, and they will look forward to pitting themselves against a Brisbane Roar team who've had a mixed history in the Australia Cup. They made the final in 2023 and semi-final in 2022, but they have gone straight out at the round of 32 on 4 occasions. And as I mentioned, they haven't even made it to the round of 32 in the last 2 seasons. It is a very youthful Brisbane Roar lineup tonight. We will see team cards once they're both out on the pitch. But year 2 under Michael Valkanis and a extensive turnover of talent means that the Brisbane Roar are embarking on another campaign where they're looking for the right combination of homegrown Queensland talent and also veteran leadership to guide them. For Sydney Olympic, they completely overhauled their team in the transfer window mid-season. Panos Amanakis there in the number 10 shirt, by far the highest profile acquisition. And Philip Curto in goal, the former MacArthur and Wellington man, not too far behind him, among the players who've been brought in to try and save this proud club from the dreaded drop to the second tier of New South Wales football. So let's take a look at how these two teams line up. Sydney Olympic's last outing was a 4-0 defeat against Manly United. They make 3 changes to that team. Philip Curto in goal, 4 Josh Hong, 6 Jock Acquin, 7 Seth Clark, 10 Panos Amanakis, 12 Zach Zoricic, 14 Jacob Trezoglovic, 16 Bailey Callahan, 23 Sebastian Kukushka, 34 Marcos Fernandez, and 35 Peter Grozos. And for the Brisbane Roar, more than a dozen players from last year's squad have bid farewell. Dean Pizanis remains in goal though. Number 2, Jacob Nasso is new from Central Coast Mariners. 3, Dimitri Valkanis. 6, Noah Maioroni. 11, Marko Ilic, the German from the 3rd Division. 15, Hoseen Billity. 17, Justin Vidic, who plied his trade for both Marconi and also Bonnyrigg in New South Wales. Number 19, Savit Nyor from the Mariners. 44, Jordan Lawton. 53 is Archie Mitchell, the 17-year-old left-back. And 77, Milorad Stajic, the Bosnian midfielder, who returns after a season-ending injury near the halfway mark of the last campaign. Tonight's referee is Rowan Fisher, assistants Cameron Wright and Patrick Telecki, and the 4th official is Sam Kelly. We've got time, so on the benches, Sydney Olympic, Josip Orlovic, Peter Politis, Georgios Luka, Anton Izako, Jack Markwell, Maximilian Luberic, and the international man of mystery, Daniel Wong. And on the bench for the Brisbane Roar, George Plusnan, their backup goalkeeper, Nathan Amanatidis, Charlie Parkin, Yanni Valkanis, Taj Sorensen, Niall Tom, and Zach Harrison. Teenagers everywhere through the lineups for both Brisbane and Olympic. Michael Melito is the coach. He took over just before the halfway mark of the season, and he's been able to oversee a revival during the transfer window that has at least latched Olympic on to hopes of the promotion relegation playoff rather than outright going down. And he also oversaw the thrilling come from behind win 3-2 against Fraser Park. We could have had a team from the New South Wales 3rd tier playing here tonight. Well, playing not too far from here tonight over at Fraser Park, had Sydney Olympic not come back to beat them. Michael Valkanis, year 2 in the job. He's got new assistant coaches. I don't see Jacopo LaRocca next to him on the bench. Well, I can tell you it's because he's actually standing about 15 metres away from me up in the grandstand tonight. But a new brains trust assisting him, and he'll be hoping for sustained results after what was such a promising start to last A-League season that burnt out. So Brisbane Roar in the orange. They're debuting a new cup kit tonight, and Jordan Lawton to get things started. Sydney Olympic in all blue, and we're underway at Belmore. It's the final night in the round of 32 in the Hahn Australia Cup, and two teams with proud NSL heritage in Sydney Olympic and South Melbourne are taking on A-League opponents. Brisbane Roar here and Adelaide United in the other game at Lakeside Stadium. And an early foul to begin things here. Protest coming from Marcus Fernandez. It was Josh Hong who came through strongly on Jordan Lawton. And on the ball here is Archie Mitchell. Early touches for him. 17 years of age, the young defender, straight into the starting 11. And the long ball hoping to find Savitnor. Tails out, and Jock Aquien, one of those transfer window acquisitions. He arrived from the Western Sydney Wanderers. He's gone straight into centre back for Sydney Olympic. A familiar former A-League name, Ziggy Gordon, is actually the general manager of the club here, in addition to being a player, but he's busy with his GM duties tonight and not on the team sheet. And there's Panos Amanakis in the number 10 shirt, playing professionally ever since leaving Australia as a 13-year-old. When he went to Watford, spent time in Italy, Belgium, Denmark, and the United States. And this is actually, this recent little stint, his first time playing senior football in Australia. Hong entangled over on the left side of Brisbane's attack, and having given away an early foul, now it's his turn to win one back. Yes, watch out for Panos Amanakis tonight, an Australian youth international. One of those highly touted teenagers who made the move when he was super young. Didn't get the chance to get to know him in the A-League like many other players in his age range. But now, in the prime years of his career, he's back in the country, and no doubt this is a good shop window for him. He's committed to Sydney Olympic until the end of the NPL season, but beyond that, could certainly be plenty of interest in the Sydney Olympic number 10. A good showing tonight would certainly help things, and you can see him leading the press here right from the off. Raw comfortable enough. Valkanis playing the ball to Billity, and now Mitchell. Jose Billity and Dimitri Valkanis. And here's Milorad Stajic. Noah Maironi. He's wearing a new number this season. He's now in the number 6 after what was a breakout campaign for him last A-League season. Sydney Olympic trying to match the Raw in the build-up play. Seth Clark, the Kiwi midfielder, has the ball deflected away. Clark, one of those players who will keep the game ticking over if Olympic can enjoy some time on the ball. Exactly how big a difference in technical quality and fitness between the two is part of the guessing game of the round of 32. We've seen teams burn out. We've seen other A-League teams power to comfortable wins. Bizarreness here, casual as you like. Clips the ball away from Bailey Callahan. Now down the right flank, Nasso. Rising up for a header, Stajic. Nasso to Lawton. And Lawton is caught in possession. An energetic tackle from Marcus Fernandez, and nothing illegal about it, says the referee. You'd have to say it's Olympics' biggest crowd of the season. Maybe around 700 fans, maybe 800 have made their way into Belmore. It's certainly been tough to get them coming through the gates given the team's results this season. I was here a month ago when they were beaten 4-0 by Rockdale, the last game before the transfer window opened. And it was quite a sorry evening as Rockdale won at arm's length in what should have been a battle of two rivals. Instead, it looked like teams poles apart. But Olympic have revived since then. They are up to 5 wins out of their 25 matches. Michael Miletto key in overseeing that revival. There's been a goal around the grounds, and it's good news for the A-League because Adelaide United are 1-0 up already via Craig Goodwin at Lakeside against South Melbourne. So we've got the close one. Here's Stuyach looking for Sabitnor. Acquien guarding him and conceding the first corner of the game out in front of a row of photographers. Australia Cup nights always bring out the media. Tonight, no exception. Sabitnor, who was so lively for the Central Coast Mariners last season, he knows the struggle of bouncing between that NPL and A-League level, having been part of a cup set with Heidelberg United. He's part of the team that beat the Central Coast Mariners. Back in 2024, I say back in, only 2 years ago. Tonight he's on the other side of the fence. And here's the German, 27-year-old Marco Illich, coming from the Zwei Bundesliga, the third division. Tracking the Boo Boys at this corner. Outswinger and comfortably headed away by Zach Zoricic. Illich, Lawton. The return ball here to Illich. He draws out Zoricic, and Zoricic makes the block. And now Fernandez is able to spin away. Stuyach knocks the ball down for Nassau. Billity. Quick switch of flanks. Vidic. Lining up in a left-sided position here, but a lot of blue shirts surrounding him, so he concedes some territory. The Olympic actives, about 20 of them, have made their way into the corner of the grandstand. Hopefully they're here for the full 90 or potentially 120 tonight. Certainly some elements of the club, and great reporting from the Greek Herald about it. And a bit of acrimony and disarray about both the ownership situation and also the club's on-field results, reflecting a bit of off-field stability in recent times. So understandably, some fans have made their voices heard about that. You can see there's a travelling pocket of both Sydney-based Raw fans and maybe those who've come into state for the game over on the outer side. And they're about to have something to cheer. They won't, as that ball runs away from Sabitnor. Throw in taken. Fernandez has got to work, and that's over the head and unplayable for Peter Grozos. Don't be fooled by the number 57 on his shorts. He's got 34 on his back, Marcus Fernandez. Here he is on the ball again. Grozos gets involved. Tough in heavy traffic. Nassau concedes ground. Valkanis. Oh, an awkward pass. Amanakis is going to seize on it here. Panos Amanakis, oh, he missed the ball. Maybe a bobble in the uneven turf here at Belmore put him off. That was a thrilling moment on the counter. Sydney Olympic not able to seize it, but they might get another chance here. Referee sees Fernandez go to ground. He protests there was a shirt pull, but Rowan Fisher is having none of it. Here's another look at Amanakis. Just that little bobble. The ball was at an awkward height, not quite staying perfectly on the turf. No home ground advantage for the home side here. Quickly taken through. Vidic, we know he's a powerhouse. Justin Vidic on the finish. Slews wide. No touch from Curto. Vidic just swiped across the ball, and that bent it away rather than towards the target, and it's out for a goal kick. Vidic, who made his name at Bonnyrigg and then had an excellent season at Marconi, to vault himself into the A-League at the Newcastle Jets, and has since joined Brisbane Roar. This is a venue he'd know plenty about as an away player over the course of his career, and just couldn't find the finish there. Brisbane with their best chance of the night so far. But it's lively, it's end-to-end, and it's looking balanced. Real credit to Olympic for how they've lined up here. Plenty of players advanced. No thoughts of sitting deep and absorbing in the early exchanges of this one. Long ball from Billity. Muir. First time ball, Nassau with the underlapping run. He hooks across back. Hong steadies. Myeroni able to win the ball back for the Brisbane Roar. He's happy to consolidate, and you see the body language of Ability just to calm things down. Ronnie loves the ball at his feet, loves to keep things ticking over in midfield. Interesting that Steyerch is playing in defence tonight, perhaps a measure due to the Brisbane squad being incomplete, perhaps a measure to help him get his legs back at the intensity required from Michael Valkanis. He did have a season-ending hamstring, quite a serious one that curtailed his campaign. Here's a replay of the chance for Vidic a moment ago. And it really opened up for him, and he just fell off balance and sliced across the ball. Driven crossfield pass here, and Muir's not going to be able to chase it down. So 10 minutes negated by Sydney Olympic. They haven't conceded the early goal. Here's Jock Acquien. Risky pass. Myroney comes through with a slide challenge from behind. And Marcus Fernandez wins the free kick. Still a risky pass, but Myroney did take a bit of a risk with a slide tackle from behind. Curto plays the ball out to Hahn. Rising to the header is Mitchell. Now volleyed on, cleared by Zoricic. Not too far. Mitchell, Lawton, Steyerch. Here's Lawton with a little back heel. That was clever. Vidic turns away from the penalty area. And the crossfield ball is going to drag Muir back as well. Next came Grozos to make it a 2-on-1. Muir the target of the throw-in, but immediately has two defenders on his case. Acquien, Armenakis, great footwork, and he's being chased and harried, and Roar have combined to win possession back. There's a real blow-up on the Sydney Olympic bench about it. Referee Rowan Fisher has been unmoved by the protests. Myroney. Interception by Hong. We're all happy to be patient here. Got four players hanging off the defensive line, waiting for a long ball. And in spite of an attempted volley being missed by Jacob Przoglovic, it has bounced comfortably down to Philip Curto. Przoglovic has got to go with a clearance. Not quite able to set Kukushka away. And the whistle is gone. Infringement in midfield, and it's going to be Brisbane's ball from a drop ball. There was one matchup that Sydney Olympic might be thinking about trying to exploit. Sebastian Kukushka has scored 3 goals this season, but has been a source of creativity generally for them. Here's a long ball to Vidic. And the ball is knocked off his feet. Nasso is going to hook it back just over Vidic's head. Zoricic's header away. Armenakis glances it on. Here goes Kukushka. And now the return ball to Armenakis. He looks to switch flanks, and it's intercepted. Second time ball is going to be cleaned up by Fernandez. And now Seth Clark. Sydney Olympic have possession. I guess that matchup of the teenager Archie Mitchell against Sebastian Kukushka. Olympics right winger versus Roar's left back. Maybe that is the matchup they will try to exploit and isolate. Imagine that we're going to see a fair share of long balls and diagonal balls by the home team here to try and catch Roar out on the counter-attack. There's an attempted long ball, and Hong leads the race with Lawton. Is the ball going to have enough on it to get out? Nearly slowed up enough for Lawton to make a play at it, but not so. Look at some of the fans in the stands. It's a cool night. Not freezing though, no wind. Here's a long ball for Callaghan to try and use his physicality against Hossein Billity. Does concede a throw in here. Bailey Callaghan, 5 goals in all competitions, 2 in the league, 3 in the cup. One of those goals in the league was the match winner against St George FC. And that was the result. Came a little while ago now, about 5 or 6 weeks, but that's the result that really got Sydney Olympics season revived. Has allowed them to latch back on to hopes of avoiding relegation. There's a looping header from Bailey Callaghan in that game, so he does have a good physical profile. Watch out for him in the air. Cross here from Grozos, cleared by Billity. Early slight challenge. Oh, Marcus Fernandez has been penalised here. Here's another look. Well, Seth Clark through the back of Justin Vidic. Yes, Fernandez perhaps right to ask, was that against me? No, it wasn't. It was against Seth Clark. So Raw starting to dominate possession. Sydney Olympic have got some ideas on the counter though. They've got some fast movers when they do win the ball back, but Raw are going to be trapped offside here down on the left flank. Marko Ilic straying there. Assistant referee Cameron Wright over on the near side. Not to be confused for his identical twin brother Brad. I can assure you, I only know that because it's his name on the team sheet. It's not like I would be able to tell otherwise, I must confess. Here's Kukushka. And an emphatic clearance coming from Valkanis. That's not quite going to threaten the construction site, but it's unmissable over on the outer side. Petermore Field is the pitch behind it. That's out of commission for the entire season as well. That's where Sydney Olympics women used to call their home ground. So hopefully it'll all be back up and running after that centre of excellence is completed. Certainly casts quite the backdrop over Belmore tonight though. This venue also hosts a handful of National Rugby League games every season, but not in 2026. Safe to say the Pigeons have moved in ever since. Vidic is going to be caught behind Hong here. Back pass safely to Curto. Grozos not able to keep possession in Nasso's challenge. And onto the head of Valkanis. Now Stajc. Billity. Mitchell just has to chase that pass, but he's got support from Ilic. Now Myroney. Seth Clark immediately on his case. No foul this time. And so play continues at the feet of Clark. Myroney right back in challenging. And again, no free kick, just a throw in after a good little battle between Myroney and Clark. A few words exchanged as well there. I saw from the Kiwi Clark. Zoglovic. Back to Curto. First time clearance. Straight to Lawton. Raw can run it back in here. And great preventative defending from Hong. Slight challenge. Keeps it away from Vidic. Lawton still roaming. And the cutback is cleared away once again. But Jordan Lawton maybe a little unselfish. Really opened up for him there to potentially run in and have a shot of his own. In the meantime, here's Kukushka down the right wing. As we flagged, Mitchell against him. Kukushka, no one to cross to in the box. He cuts back here. Armanakis. Decision time for him. Conjures a ball over to the left. And Acquien. The Olympic looking dangerous at the feet of Sebastian Kukushka there. But they're going to knock the ball back into their defensive half. And the Raw defensive line is running all the way up to halfway. They're going to have quite a high defensive line here if Sydney Olympic are going to back off. Put it in the memory bank though. Billity did well to come over and make it a 2-on-1. Oh, that's a hefty challenge from Callahan in the air against Valkanis. The referee lets them play. Michael Valkanis is really getting energetic on the sideline, the Raw coach now. Back pass here, all the way to Buzanis. Just dinks it over the head of Callahan. It's been a fun first 20 minutes. Not too many chances for a goal, but Sabignor might be about to change all that. He holds his ground, kept his feet. Now Sydney Olympic players backtrack in earnest. Here goes Illich, cuts onto his right side. No shot yet. Now Sabignor, he's apprehensive too. Stuyach, who's going to pull the trigger here? Myeroni, now Lawton. And Lawton doesn't take possession initially. He has to tail back towards the byline. Little nibble at his shins from Zoricic, but no free kick. Callahan's a lone hand up top, and Raw will get the ball back immediately. Just a couple of chances there to have a pop, but Brisbane Raw wanted to keep playing. Ability. Vidic turns away from Trezoglovic, but bounces off the defenders who get back goal side. Now he's weaving through. Lawton, advantage given. Lawton! Wide left. Well, it would have been a free kick in a great position, but Brisbane Raw took their advantage, and Jordan Lawton puts it wide of the target. There's no hesitating having a shot on that one. So there's the foul by Marcus Fernandez, but Lawton took the advantage. Philip Curto was at full stretch, but the ball just went wide of that left-hand post. Brisbane Raw feel like they're closing in on the opening goal here. A big couple of minutes coming up from the home side to keep this 0-0 scoreline intact, you feel. Hong. Myeroni, the ball broke the wrong way off his header. Straight to Grozos, but he slipped at the key moment. I mentioned no home ground advantage. The surface has been unkind to Sydney Olympic a couple of times here. Zoricic in a one-on-one against Illich. He set himself for that duel over at right back for Olympic, and he takes the points on this one. Able to win the throw-in for his team. Ball breaks into the middle. Trezoglovic able to clear. Callahan out to the right. Attempted early ball is going to deflect out for another Olympic throw. Young fans watching on as Buzanis is drawn out of his penalty area. Lawton turns into trouble. Fernandez not getting a bit of space in midfield, but he had to work laterally to find it. Mitchell trying for the 1-2 with Illich down the left flank. Now Fernandez followed the play over to that side of the pitch and has a back pass on to Hong, who clears to the safety of the touchline. The fans have come in late here. I mean, I'm putting a little bit of mayo on it, but I reckon we've definitely got 1,000 in now. Belmore tonight. Curto, first time clearance. Mitchell rises to a volley, sliced it on. Callahan missed the ball. Stuyach. And now Myeroni. Happy to reset at the feet of Buzanis. Raw squad turnover last season. Buzanis and Valkanis and Bility. A couple of the familiar faces. They said goodbye to Ben Warland, Marius Luda, Austin Ludwig, Easton Salas. It's just the defenders. Matthew Dench as well. Anthony Burke-Gilroy. Looking through some of the midfielders and attackers that they've moved on from at a next break, because we nearly had a defence-splitting pass from Myeroni. Illich. Blocked cross, gets a second chance. Cross comes Zoricic, denies Lawton the ball. Hong lifts the ball over to Grozos. Oh, Acquien's got a retreat here. Olympic, their own worst enemy, inviting the pressure on. Lawton finds Vidic, and now the run from Sabatnor lifts up the cross over the head of Illich. That was a cross he wasn't going to get to. Now on the opposite side of the pitch, Seth Clark. Luck's a fortune, it ends in a goal kick, but a giveaway in the defensive third is asking for trouble. And Brisbane weren't able to punish Olympic there. Nor's cross, just a little bit too much on it. And Illich is diminutive. He was up in a decent leap, but wasn't ever going to get to the header. Yes, some of the other Raw players, Sam Klein sold to Germany. Jacob Brissett since gone to Adelaide United. Chris Long, Georgios Vrakas, Henry Hoare, Macklin Freak, Michael Roos, Nick D'Agostino was only on loan. Jay O'Shea, end of an era for him. Ben Halloran retired. And of course, Quinn McNichol off to Melbourne City. Youngster continuing his career. But looking at the bench, there's quite a few familiar names there if you've followed the emerging Socceroos Championships. You might see them in the second half. The likes of Charlie Parkin and Zach Harrison. And that's good play by Grozos. He's able to win Olympic their first corner of the game. It's taken 26 minutes, but it's good hustle against Valkanis down against the byline. Smile from Michael Valkanis on the Raw bench. They have a very tall team, Brisbane Raw. I don't think they would be too intimidated by the aerial threats of Sydney Olympic tonight, but the delivery of Panos Hamanakis can make height an irrelevance here. Outswinging corner, and it's not clearing the area. Buzanis left on his feet, and it's deflected out for another corner kick. Trezoglovic and the rest of his Olympic teammates nearly won the lottery there with that ricochet. Hamanakis' corner, cleared shallow. Trezoglovic leaned into the header, and it must have been off Hossein Billity there, taking it out for a corner on the opposite side. Taken short. Seth Clark. Now the cross whipped in high. Callahan, the header. And Buzanis able to hold against his near post. But Raw be warned, don't give away too many corners and defensive half set pieces. And they're going to sting on the counter. Olympic getting back in numbers here. Sabatnor leaves it with Stuyach. Olympic defense now set behind the ball. Myeroni. Mitchell. Myeroni. Nyor. Oh, good touch from Nasso, and he puts a shot on target. Curto saves it away for a corner. That was sharp from Jacob Nasso. Most recently at the Mariners, he was at Western United before that. Curto showing that he's still got the reflexes sharp. Able to bat that shot down and put it out for a corner at the opposite end. Can Raw make their height count? The likes of Vidic, Valkanis, Nasso. And it's a flying header from Marcus Fernandez to clear the ball away. Stuyach, his pass blocked by Clark. Concede some ground to Fernandez. Clearance from Hong. Bouncing ball in midfield. Hamanakis trying to juggle it to his own advantage here, but Nyor was having none of that. Came in and won the ball. Tangle of legs right in front of the Raw bench. And the end result is an Olympic throw. Michael Valkanis protests otherwise. Akuyen's throw. Amanakis with a flick header on. Strength over the ball from Stajic. Really endeared himself to the fans before his season-ending injury last campaign. Didn't endear himself to any of his opponents, that's for sure. But they loved his combativeness. They loved his physicality. Here's Archie Mitchell. And the attack just breaks down there for Brisbane, so we're going to tick up to half an hour scoreless at Belmore. A bit of a Pied Piper situation with someone beating a drum for some Olympic juniors in a different corner of the grandstand here. Of course, back in 2021, when Olympic were last in the national rounds of the Australia Cup, it was still COVID conditions. The Cup had missed all of 2020. It was divided into geographical zones until after a couple of games in the national rounds. Here's Kukushka. He's got Bility trying to hold him up, and now Zoricic on the overlap. Zoricic cuts it back, and Myroney clears it away. It's going to have just enough to run out for a throw, but Zach Zoricic has largely been limited to defending through this first half, but he showed what he's capable of, breaking forward there, linking up with Kukushka. And that cutback there, Myroney swept in. It was all Brisbane, to be fair, so the cross wasn't overly threatening. But the run offered so much promise to Olympic. Akuyen finds Clark. Clark turning and facing, doesn't like his options, so he goes wide to Akuyen. He has to concede ground here to Trezoglovic. Philip Curto waves everyone out. Amanakis back to Hahn. Hahn clips the ball into midfield. Fernandez. Oh, he's able to run through the gauntlet there. Amanakis caught by the backtracking Savitnor. Again, a couple of nice individual moments for some of these Olympic players, but it isn't quite linking up smoothly when they're on the ball. Nasso's throw in. Vidic concedes the throw the other way. But yes, the last time Olympic were in the national rounds, they went out to Sydney FC. Since then, they have been knocked out 3 out of 4 times on penalties in the New South Wales qualifying rounds, and in 2024 after extra time. So they've been a team addicted to high drama. Last season, Sydney United knocked them out 11-10 on penalties. In round 6, so one shy of the final hurdle before you go to the round of 32. Bility. Been a goal at Lakeside. South Melbourne have equalised against Adelaide. Bull Juach has just scored a contender for the goal of the tournament. That is something. So, A-League teams level in both their contests. Scoreless here, 1-1 at Lakeside. On this final night of the round of 32. Cup draw coming up on Paramount Plus and the Football Australia YouTube at the conclusion of the night's action. Whether it's after 90 minutes or 120, as soon as that final whistle goes, the winning teams will go in the hat and find out who they'll be playing in the second week of August. Long ball here up to the halfway line and bouncing out. you're doing the two-screen experience, you've already seen Paul Chuach's goal. If you're not, get your second screen up and watch that goal. Unbelievable. Foul here in midfield. Myroney. Just wonder, will we start to get a little chippiness and competitive edge? Justin Vidic isn't happy with a bit of gamesmanship from Marcus Fernandez, and Stuyach and Myroney were there on the scene in that particular build-up. It's all been pretty well behaved so far. And even in some of the cup sets and some of the more intense round of 32 ties, we haven't seen anything really spill over so far in the Hahn Australia Cup. Ryan Fisher's kept things largely under control, if not entirely under control so far tonight. Raw, they don't want to go into the rooms scoreless. They want to find a goal for their toil in this first half. Myroney, Nasso. Fernandez loses out. Stuyach, Nasso. Valkanis. Back to Bazanis, who rarely needs an invitation to roam out of his penalty area and join the build-up play. Stuyach with a long diagonal ball. Lawton got the first touch, but Zoricic right on his case thereafter. And Zoricic is able to clear. Kukushka off and running. Ability comes across. Good combination defending. Mitchell was chasing. Ability was coming across. Armanakis. Grozos. Back to Krasoglovic. And his pass will give the ball away. Stuyach, another long ball. He tried one a moment ago, and Curto on his heels. Vidic beat him to the ball, and Krasoglovic is able to clear away while clattering into the goalpost. Well, Philip Curto was just a bit apprehensive there coming out to claim the ball, and Justin Vidic very nearly exploited the generosity. And now he's hurt as a result. But a flashpoint here as we work towards half-time. Stuyach, a teasing long ball, allowed to bounce. And you see Curto there just back on his heels. And then he came out to challenge for the ball. His gloves hit the face of Justin Vidic. Has he even drawn blood here from the lip of the Brisbane attacker? It looks like he has. So the trainer is out, and Krasoglovic is the defender that saved the day. But Curto, a shaky moment. I'm sure Brisbane Roar have done their homework. They would have seen some of the goals that Philip Curto has conceded since taking over as the #1 goalkeeper at Sydney Olympic, and perhaps would have identified that time is undefeated. Curto, a great career, particularly since coming to the A-League, but certainly a veteran at this point. Thumbs up comes to the sideline for Vidic, so purely some cosmetic repair and he'll be back. Don't wipe the blood on the shirt, otherwise you'll have to change the shirt. Fans having a great time. They'll be happy. Those fans will be happy with the scoreline as it currently stands. So Vidic being cleaned up over on the sideline. It's going to be 11 versus 10, at least for a brief amount of time. How brief? It might be a split second here, to be honest. Yep. Vidic waved right back on. Ability. Lawton. Valkanis. Stuyach. Nasso back to Stuyach. Myroney, and he finds Sabit Nyor. Nyor cuts inside. Fouled. Free kick in shooting range. Sabit Nyor fleet-footed there. He certainly mixed it up because the right channel was open for him, but he wanted to cut inside instead. And that little skip around Trosoglovic, enough to draw the foul and the free kick. I think the Raw players were arguing there should have been a card to accompany it, but it doesn't look like Rowan Fisher is reaching for the book. Fans making plenty of noise here, but it's the defence of the home side that has to hold up here. Marko Ilic has gone in to stand over this set piece with Sabit Nyor. It's perfect for a left footer, but could Ilic pull rank on his right here? Curto is setting his defensive wall. He's got 5 players. He's happy now. 5 in the wall. Is this Ilic's moment? Nyor there with him. Marko Ilic into the wall. Myroney with a left footer. And he slices it away. And Philip Curto built a perfect wall there. And he's able to see off that set-piece threat. Here's another look. It was only midway up the wall, really. And then Myroney's secondary attempt sliced away. And you hear the trademark Olympic. Of course, all of those kids that are chanting it would have been born long after the NSL ended, but the traditions have been passed down. Here's Armanakis. Acquien. Armanakis sticks the 1-2 with Acquien. He was looking for Grozos. The pass is blocked away by Nasser. Callahan back to Jock Acquien. And he draws a free kick here, and it's a mid-range set piece. Might suit Panos Armanakis down to the ground. They have no pretensions of playing this one short. They're going to set something up here, Sydney Olympic. Not too many numbers committed forward, it must be said. So here comes the free kick. No time wasted. Armanakis with an in-swinger. Myroney, the initial header. It's followed up, and a good save by Bouzanis. Well, did he even get a touch, or did it just catch the top of the crossbar? It looks as though it's out for a goal kick. No touch from the keeper after all. So the initial ball not overly dangerous, but Kukushka coming in with the header, and it hit the crossbar. Our Olympic growing in confidence at the end of the half. Here's Kukushka. Through comes Zoricic, drags the ball with him. Zach Zoricic, the cut across. No one there at the top of the box. Grozos, now Acquien, tucks it back inside. Armanakis. He plays it to Fernandez. Brisbane Roar settle behind the ball. Clark. Armanakis, the return ball. Clark has to work hard here. He's being pursued by the Raw midfield, but that means Armanakis is in space. He takes on Lawton here. Sends it over to the right. Zoricic in a dangerous position again. Zoricic! Well, he went for it this time rather than try to put a cross into a teammate. And he sent it well high and wide. Well, an exciting end to the first half here. We've got just over a minute of regulation to go. Sydney Olympic really making a go of it here. Can Raw answer with a late attack of their own? Not on that goal kick. It's going to stay in Olympics attacking half. Nyor, Acquien. And now Sabit Nyor being pursued by Jock Acquien. And he's done enough here just to force Nyor into a heavy touch. And that's well done by the defender for Sydney Olympic. Sabitnur ultimately ended up in a wrestle just to get to the ball rather than worry about where it was going. Hahn, how much has he got in the tank here? He's just sprinted back in the other direction. Myeroni comes through. This is where Raw could be so dangerous. Stajic making ground on the right. A low driven cross. Trezoglovic, Hahn. It's a little bit helter-skelter here in the final minute of regulation. Fourth official Sam Kelly holding on to the board. About to tell us how many minutes of stoppage at the end of the half. Vidic. Oh, he goes to ground in a wrestle here. Trezoglovic has got to be careful. Vidic! And, well, the body position was enough to block the ball away as we tick into one additional minute. It is hectic at the end of the half here. Advantage Olympic. Here goes Kukushka. And Mitchell does really well to get goal side of him. Kukushka wants to load up again. Big collision between the two. Mitchell bounces back to his feet. Through ball for Callaghan. And Bazanis out of his line. Not sure Callaghan was going to chase that down, but it is exciting stuff here. Zoricic slipped at the key moment, but Ilic doesn't have the first touch to exploit. And now he goes through and commits a foul on Seth Clark. What a lively end to the first half here. End-to-end stuff. If this is any indication of what we get as the night wears on, I think we're going to be in for a really good second half. For now, parity. Brisbane Roar definitely had the better of the chances, but Sydney Olympic have shown that they are up to their ears in this one. Justin Vidic punts the ball away in annoyance at half-time because the score is Sydney Olympic 0, Brisbane Roar 0.
Colours have been hoisted, allegiance sworn, battle lines drawn. This is football at its most passionate. It's the Sydney Derby. Again, it falls to Quall. It's Derby delight for the red and black. The Western Sydney Wanderers against Sydney FC. Quintal, he's got his second. Revenge for Sydney FC with interest.
What are you doing?
We're planking.
It's because of our internet providers.
We're stuck in 2011.
Same slow internet speeds.
And high prices.
It's like a nightmare.
Enough planking. Superloop is a network purpose-built for the super-fast future of the internet. You are free.
Don't take it lying down, Australia. Refresh your internet.
Welcome back to Belmore Sports Ground. We're at halftime. We're scoreless in this Hahn Australia Cup round of 32 tie between Sydney Olympic and the Brisbane Roar. A hard-fought but fair first 45 minutes. No goals to show for it. No lack of commitment either between the two teams. And Brisbane Roar have had the higher volume of chances, but Sydney Olympic will feel as though they have been a good match. This is probably the best chance for either team to score. Justin Vidic breaking the defensive line and then falling off balance and slicing the chance away. And an early goal really could have set the tone for Brisbane Roar, given how they did control possession. This was a giveaway by Olympic in their defensive third. Vidic involved again, and then it just broke down, and ultimately Savitnor's cross cleared everyone in the penalty area. Noah Myroney was busy on the ball. And this particular attack here, he was at the heart of. Nasso drawing the save out of Philip Curto, who had to collapse down and block that shot on target. This was another good opportunity, even though Vidic, well, put it down as a save. He definitely heads the ball into Philip Curto, and then he copped Curto's gloves to his face for his trouble. Now, this is the closest Olympic came. It was Sebastian Kukushka hitting the crossbar. I initially thought that Bazanis had got a glove to it, but no, all would work. And that was Olympic's best opportunity in the first half. Here are the numbers. Raw dominating possession, but you can see 6 shots to 2. Olympic haven't put one on target, but they have had 16 final third entries to work with. And it's been 11 total fouls, but no one has gone into the referee's book as yet. And in the other game, Adelaide United scored in just the 3rd minute through Craig Goodwin, but late in the half, Bull Juach has netted an equaliser with a long-range shot, and it means that South Melbourne are level with Adelaide United. And so both games are even. Don't forget, the round of 16 draw is coming up at the conclusion of tonight's action, whether that's after 90 minutes or 120 minutes. You'll be able to watch it on the Football Australia YouTube channel or on Paramount Plus, with the match coverage currently being hosted by Daniel Garb, Daniel McBreen and Eric Partaloo. Subs knocking around during the halftime break. How many of them and how soon will we see them? We'll find out soon. We'll come back after a short break with the second half here in the Hahn Australia Cup.
The world's biggest teams are here. Incredible stuff. Look at this atmosphere in here. It's unbelievable. To face the best of the A-Leagues. All in one place. That is champagne football. The Winter Festival of Football. Only on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Belmore. Fans of the home side, Sydney Olympic, enjoying themselves. No goals to cheer just yet. And a cup tie in the balance halfway through regulation time. Of course, there must be a winner tonight. If we can't get a goal before the end of 90 minutes, it will be off to extra time. Brisbane Roar back out on the pitch. Sydney Olympic about to come and join them. Keeping an eye on the fourth official to see if we're about to have any halftime activity. Not immediately obvious. Maybe the same 11s will be resuming the action here in the second half. Raw nowhere near the finished article, of course, at this early stage of pre-season. No Joel King tonight, Emin Jurakovic. Also Nam Tae-hee, their new signing, South Korean international. Sydney Olympic, they have a couple of cup-tied players who arrived during the transfer window, like Adam Bugaria, former Perth Glory man, and Khan Nizam, the former Western Sydney Wanderers youth player. They both started the NPL season at other clubs, meaning that they had got themselves cup-tied before tonight, so they've had to be rotated out. But so far, so good for Sydney Olympic. Scoreless as we kick off the second 45, and no halftime substitutes to speak of, as Fernandez turns and plays the ball back to Tresoglovic. See the energy straight out of the rooms from Vidic, but that's a cool head from Hong. His pass, though, is going to invite on Illich here. And Aquien is stuck in a 1-on-2, and the numbers went out. Nasso swings in across. Here's Vidic! Across the face it goes. Agony for Justin Vidic. He's had Raw's best chances tonight, and that one goes wide of the target. Well, the giveaway was costly. You could see it unfolding. 2-on-1. Illich got the ball in, and then Nasso with the cross, and Vidic left foot on the instep, and he just couldn't keep it inside the goalpost. Brisbane Roar perhaps should have been in front in the first minute of the second half. Some degree of difficulty to it. You can't be too judgmental in these situations, but I think Vidic's reaction tells the story. So another let-off for Olympic. Can they ride their luck? Of course, they only got to this round of 32 game with a somewhat miraculous comeback against Fraser Park in round 7. It feels like a very long time ago now. I mean, because it was, but they were 2-0 down away at Fraser Park, and they launched a comeback which involved Daniel Wong coming off the bench to score a 90th minute winner without the need for extra time. But it was before the transfer window opened, so it was a very different looking Olympic team. It was the one that was stone motherless last in NPL at the time, and their cup run somehow kept going. Here's Armanakis, brings out the fancy footwork, and he takes on Mitchell here, and he's done enough to draw a corner kick. And I wonder, after the first half where it was Kukushka against Mitchell, will Panos Armanakis now start to roam a bit more down Olympic's right flank, taking on the 17-year-old Raw left back. Here's the corner kick. Armanakis high to the back post, and that's catching practice for Dean Bouzanis. The overarm throw sets Nasso away. Jacob Nasso, early ball for Illich. Zoricic, the back pass. Curto clearing away. Grozos brings the ball down. And Fernandez able to burst into the attacking half. Over to Callaghan. Hasn't had the ball at his feet too much tonight. Here's Armanakis. Turns onto his left, and the cross is too close to the keeper. Well, that was a really promising move there for Sydney Olympic. Barely seen Bailey Callaghan in possession. He's largely been playing as a target man centre forward, someone to aim for in the air, but he was able to keep that attack moving. And end-to-end might suit Raw just fine. Sabitnor lost his feet. I do wonder, the Canterbury Bulldogs train in rugby league on this ground. We've seen players far more prone to losing their footing, attacking the left of screen than we have the right. I do wonder if the pitch is just a little bit bobblier and a little bit more worn down to the train tracks end of the ground. Foul here, free kick. And it was Seth Clark luring in Jordan Lawton, and an easy decision for the referee. Just a telling off, no booking. Armanakis, the early ball, and it's cleared away by Billity. Marcus Fernandez gave him the slip. Armanakis tries to G up the crowd. Not too many coming with him. They need to find their voice here. Plenty of fans, no doubt, coming to their first game of the season or back for the first time in a while here at Belmore tonight. Short corner. Armanakis pulls out the Rabona cross, and the volley from Grozos had no juice behind it. Goodness me. Armanakis has come out of the rooms a man possessed. Imagine if that had ended up in the net. What a highlight that could have been. Michael Valkanis is speaking to his bench. Shane Stefanuto, the head of football, has got the substitution slips in his hand, seemingly going through the paperwork here, maybe preparing for some changes as all the Raw substitutes warm up. It's been an end-to-end first 5 minutes since the restart. Buzanis always confident on the ball. Myroney plays the 1-2 here with Valkanis. And then a slow-moving pass into the midfield. Lawton has to go back to Stajic. Stajic to Mitchell. Ability will retrieve the ball. It allows Olympic as a unit to step up 3 or 4 metres. Still plenty of players hanging off the defensive line. Vidic moves into midfield. Hong's clearance deflected, but Trezoglovic clears it away. Stajic's pass intercepted by Hong. He finds Clark, and Clark with the diagonal ball. Grozos often chasing. Buzanis sharply out of his box, and good energetic defending from Nasso. Never allowed Grozos a clean run at the ball, really. Now Grozos is on his case with a big block tackle, and that ball is going to bounce into the construction site. So someone's going to have to pull on their hard hat and go and retrieve it. Michael Valkanis watches on. Not to dob in a youngster, someone's climbed under the fence. A small enough kid to go and retrieve the ball. That's great ball kid work. Well done, son. That's the magic of the cup right there. I hope he can find a way back under that fence too. Raw on the build-up. There's real pace in the game at the moment. Lawton, he goes to ground, and Hong held his feet. And after consultation with the assistant referee, it's going to be a corner to Brisbane. So a little bonus here for them. As you can see, only a couple of corners for Raw. They do have a height advantage. Can they exploit it here? Philip Curto, no stranger to these situations, having been in the A-League for such a long time before joining Olympic. It's low to the near post, though. That won't bring the height into play, as Zoricic is able to volley clear. Mitchell. Loose touch from Nasso, open to the door. Kukushka. Now Fernandez. He has to decelerate and wait for options to present. Clark. Kukushka trying to get clever against Valkanis, who wasn't falling for his leave of the ball there, and sends it safely back to Buzanis. Still no indicators of subs just yet. We'll continue to have all their players warming up down at the left of screen. Olympics are all seated on the bench. Grozos, Samanakis, the return ball, a smooth one. Here's Grozos. He cuts inside, and I think he was trying to buy a foul there off Lawton, and the referee wasn't having a bar of it. Switch out to the right. And now Raw through Nassau, trying to advance. Doesn't get much change out of Jock Acquien. Here's Kukushka. He looks up at Myeroni. Sebastian Kukushka tried to stutter step and play the ball past Myeroni, and he blocked it away. But Olympic have the ball back. Armanakis. Zoricic. Zoricic with the early ball, and it's again a very easy collect for Dean Bazanis. The end product on the crossing just hasn't quite been there for Olympic when they've needed it. Looks as though Nathan Amanatidis is going to be coming on. There are the rest of the Raw subs, but Amanatidis has already returned to the bench and taken off the bib. Young striker, former under-17 international, who has really struggled for game time, be it at the Raw or Sydney FC, ever since he left his original A-League academy, Adelaide United. Raw trying to welcome him to the game with a goal. Here's Nyor. First time ball from Ilic. And it's going to be another corner kick. A couple of Raw players challenging for it in the air, but ultimately it was an Olympic touch in between them. As we take another look here at the build-up. Ilic with a cross from a standing start, and it was Hahn in between Nassau and Lawton who headed it out for this corner kick. So Amanatidis still waits in the wings. Sabit Nyor on the corner. In swinger to the near post. Acquien rises to head it away. Lawton was leaning in. And the defence has scuffed it. And Vidic puts it over the bar. And his night of struggle in front of the target continues. Olympic gift-wrapped that opportunity. And Vidic not able to put it on frame. Dear, I was a sliced clearance from Acquien, who had been so good up to this point. And that really should have been the opening goal of the game, and Jock Acquien will be grateful to Justin Vidic that mishit clearance won't get too many replays and might be quickly forgotten. Of course, if we end up going wire to wire 0-0, then I guess it will be a more prominent moment in the game, but Raw continue to create the better chances. Amanatidis has had to put a sub bib back on, so maybe Raw are deciding they're not going to make this sub after all. Free kick here, earned by Kukushka. So, Raw in possession. You can see Amanatidis in the number 22 shirt waiting next to the fourth official now, so they are going to make that change at the next break in play. I almost feel for Justin Vidic. They need to leave him out there for his confidence. If they take him off now after the chances that he's spurned in the game, it's going to almost be a force multiplier of disappointment. Wait and see what the coach has decided. Right now, Brisbane Raw want to unlock this Olympic defence. Get to breathe a bit easier in this cup tie. Stuyach through the middle. Lawton clips it on. That's a nice pass. Ilic, good one-on-one defending from Acquien. Had to be there. And now Grozos breaks in the other direction. And he's scragged by the backtracking Nassau. And we're going to see the first yellow card of the game. Jacob Nassau goes in the book. It's taken 58.5 minutes, but that's the first yellow card of the night. And Milorad Stojic is coming off for Nathan Amanatidis here. Stojic, Raw fans will be delighted to see him get through his competitive return. And the Bosnian takes his leave. And Nathan Amanatidis comes on. And I think it's going to lead to some positional switching here. Amanatidis is coming on the left flank. We saw Milorad Stojic playing as a right back in the first half. Jacob Nasso is in there now. He's just picked up the first card of the game. Fernandez, Clark, Zoricic, Armanakis. Crossfield pass over to Acquien. Hahn clips the ball on to Zoricic. See some of the passing numbers pop up there. Raw still in the ascendancy for most of them, but it feels like there's real balance in the game at present. Raw want to rip that away right here. Vidic, nice first touch. Amanatidis, his first involvement. Lawton, legged, no. Referee says Hong was not at risk of giving away a penalty. And Hong does the sporting thing and drags Lawton back to his feet. Well, Amanatidis with a promising first involvement, and then Lawton just went tumbling over a player who was already down. Sabitnur. Brisbane working through the gears. Vidic! Oh, he hits the frame of the goal. And Curto has to bat it out for a corner kick. It was falling in. An awkward follow-up to deal with for Curto. And Justin Vidic, well, he looks to the skies, he throws his hands in the air and says, what does it take to score a goal out here tonight? That was a near perfect strike. Bending, dipping, off the crossbar. And then Curto had to play it safe and concede a corner kick. Raw have committed plenty of numbers forward. Yours corner in swinger, and it's over the bar. Well, Valkanis got to the ball. It was his header there. He lost his shoe in the process. But it just found its way out, and that is in a half where Raw have had better chances. That is an underrated chance to finally get this opening goal. They must feel like it's coming, Brisbane Raw. Olympic just need to enjoy some time on the ball here. They need to stop it feeling like wave after wave of attack, because that's what it is at the moment. Vidic with strength. Curto's out of his line, and the ball finally finds its way in. Justin Vidic has been the main character in this match tonight, and at last he has a goal. And it's very much relief rather than celebration for Brisbane Raw as they take a 1-0 lead. And it's a goal that had been coming ever since really the start of the second half. Raw were attacking non-stop. Vidic out muscles Hong, cuts around Trezoglovic, and not much Curto could do about that. As long as the finish was on target, it was going in. Justin Vidic on his return to face an NPL New South Wales opponent, showing at last the sort of form that got him that call up to the A-League 3 seasons ago. And so now Sydney Olympic, with plenty of time remaining in the game, are going to have to find a shift of gears here, because Brisbane Raw very much in a deserved lead based on the wealth of chances that they had created in this game. An instant reply would be just what they need. Kukushka has got Zoricic on his outside, uses him now. Ball just took a little nick and it goes out for a corner. Still 1-1 down at Lakeside, so that match tied. Armenakis receives the short corner, puts it on Vidic's head. Ilic couldn't affect the play here. Armenakis with an in-swinger, Bility with a good header away. And now Myeroni leading a counter-attack. Sabitnor, this is where he can be so dangerous. Sabitnor with the finish. Roar have got two in the blink of an eye. Full field counter-attack for the Brisbane Roar, and Sabitnor finishes it off to make it 2-0. And Sydney Olympics' hopes of a cup set tonight have seemingly been dashed in a matter of moments. Zoricic, the last offender. Curto was again coming out of his line, but not much he could do about that. And Sabitnor, who had such a promising season for the Central Coast Mariners last season, has opened his account for the Brisbane Roar at the first competitive attempt. And where Justin Vidic had been plagued by the yips in front of goal all night, no such troubles for Sabit as he found the back of the net. And so this game has been taken away from the home side here. Any hopes of a cup set now would need a genuine miracle. I guess they can take heart from one match they had. I won't even refer to it here if Raw venture forward and score a third, though. They're going to just take their time here with Mitchell. But in the Waratah Cup semi-final, they were 2-0 down against Sydney United, who we did see knock out the Central Coast Mariners last week. And Peter Grozos popped up with his only 2 goals of the season to take that game into extra time. They did go on to lose 5-2 in extra time, but it was here at Belmore. They did find a way to inspire a comeback just completely out of the blue, so it has been done once this season. It's been done against a team in Sydney United who've shown themselves capable of knocking out A-League opposition. Roar have got all the momentum rolling downhill at the moment for them, though, as Trosoglovic clears away. All of Olympic substitutes have now got up to go and warm up while Roars are back seated on the bench. The coach watches on. Nyor. Ability. Of course, there is already one Queensland team waiting in the round of 16 draw, which will come up later tonight. Lions FC. They beat Perth Glory. As Curto comes out to the edge of the box to collect. Peninsula Power, though, the league leaders in NPL Queensland at the time of their clash with RPL Leichhardt, they got knocked out on the very first night of the round of 32 a couple of weeks ago.
An update from the other game going on tonight in the Australia Cup. South Melbourne 1, Adelaide United 1.
A couple of Brisbane fans, and they're reacting to the PA giving the score around the grounds. Haven't had the goal alerts open on their phones. Here's Bazanis. Mitchell. Vidic having to work his way back. Bility, he nearly left the ball behind, but Callahan just not close enough to take possession. As Bazanis clears, Manatitis trying to make it difficult here, and does make it difficult for Trosoglovic, but he finds Acquien. And then the clearance from Curto is a hurried one. Well played by Kukushka. He's managed to break through here. All about the finish for Kukushka. Saved by Buzanis. Well, a big moment for Olympic. And now Fernandez with the follow-up. Blocked high by Lawton. Spinning ball, not dealt with just yet. Callaghan, battering ram work. Kukushka goes to ground. And he stays down. Well, that would have been 2-1 and at least game back on for Sydney Olympic. But Kukushka, we did flag him as a danger man in the first half, but he shot that straight at the keeper when the chance presented. The crowd hasn't been hugely vocal, but they were just starting to raise their heckles there, get excited about something from the home side. As the ball is sliced in here, Callaghan leaping against Buzanis, and well, they broke even, and that means it's a corner. Here's another look at the chance for Kukushka. He won the wrestle. Mitchell was pursuing him. He steadies, and on his left side, Dean Buzanis in the right position. But it wasn't a convincing finish, it must be said. Kukushka has scored 3 goals this season, but couldn't find his best right when Olympic needed it there. They're getting a triple sub prepared, but they do have a corner kick. Dean Buzanis giving plenty of instruction. He's not being crowded, the goalkeeper. The corner is an outswinger and a good header away by Dimi Valkanis. Brought down by Fernandez. Ball played right back into the traffic. Grozos has a ping. Hong has a go and it's blocked away. Clark was back along with Zoricic. Zach Zoricic out to the right. Aquien is going to back his speed here onto the ball. A low burning cross into the box. Held up by Callaghan. Here's the shot. And Fernandez puts it right down the middle for Buzanis to save again. Well, 2 good chances in a row for Sydney Olympic. Oh, and a tangle between Callaghan and Billity. What on earth's going on? They've had a confrontation off the ball here. Apropos of absolutely nothing. And Rowan Fisher has to turn peacemaker. And a triple sub is going to go through here for Sydney Olympic regardless. They're going to bring on George Luca, Max Luberic, and also Daniel Wong. Michael Valkanis gives instructions to Marko Ilic in the meantime. Things have been calmed down between Billity and Callaghan. And so here comes the triple change for Sydney Olympic. It's Callaghan's last involvement in the game. He subbed out. Zach Zoricic comes off and so does Seb Kukushka. So disappointment for Kukushka. A rueful shake of the head from him. And on comes Daniel Wong, the international man of mystery. Played for the Chesterfield Academy in England, Sydney-born. Chesterfield Academy in England. He went to Espanyol B. He bounced around clubs in Spain and China. And then he ended up back in Australia at the Mount Druitt Town Rangers. He was at the Sutherland Sharks last season. And now we find him at Sydney Olympic. And he was their cup hero that scored the goal that qualified them for the national round of 32. He scored 4 in total this season, 2 in the league, 2 in the cup. And he will no doubt have a pretty important role in the run to the finish line as Olympic try to avoid relegation. Here's a shot, and it just kept rising from Amanatitis. Out over the crossbar. There's been chaos around the grounds. South Melbourne are now in a 2-1 lead against Adelaide United. So we could be on for a cup set tonight. It just might not be here. But Yuki Uchida has scored to put South Melbourne into a 2-1 lead. And that game's a few minutes behind this one, so if you're not doing the split screen or 2-device watch-along experience tonight, you will be able to catch the end of this one and then, I assume, the end of the next one. Of course, if Sydney Olympic do come back, we'll go to an extra 30 minutes, but they've got to score twice. It's a tall order. they have at least responded to going 2-0 down by having two of their best chances of the game. Raw can't afford to completely switch off here. They've only made the one substitution so far. They've got a very young bench of potential debutants waiting in the wings. Well, Amanakis maybe too clever by half. He bounces back in here. Nearly won the ball off Amanatitis. He has to concede some ground. Back to Valkanis. And now Bazanis. Grozos, Amanakis, Clark. Fernandez, Amanakis. Well, he tried to thread the eye of the needle to play it through the right side for Georgios Luka. Luka, who is equal top scorer for Sydney Olympic this season with just the 4 goals, but the young attacker has certainly been able to prove himself in the rather unforgiving environment of a relegation battle. Long ball here. Wong is going to be well behind the run of Bazanis. And that looks like a handball by Max Luberich, and the referee agrees. Olympic doing what they can to prevent the quickly taken free kick, and now here's Nyor. Nasso. And the cutback, Myeroni with a low drive, and it just worked its way past the right-hand post with a touch. It's out for a corner. Myeroni able to earn his team another set piece. And another look here. The cutback from Amanatitis to Myeroni. It's just a little bobble off one of the defenders on its way through. Brisbane are now starting to summon additional players to the sideline for that final tactical briefing. Yanni Valkanis, Dimitri's younger brother, will be one of them. Noah Myeroni's come over to the bench for a chat here. Got to play it down with cramp. Jordan Lawton, that's why the corner is taking its time to be swung into the box by Sabit Nyor. Lawton's not coming off just yet. Gets back to his feet. He's able to trot down to the penalty area. There he is, still suffering the after effects of cramp. So, corner kick from Sabit Nyor. A third puts it to bed. Nyor's corner. High, looping to the back post, and cleared off the line. Goal given. Jacob Nasso celebrates as Brisbane Roar are adjudged to have scored the third. It was an on-target ball, hooked out of the goal mouth, and the assistant referee communicated to the central referee that it had crossed the line. Patrick Talecki, the assistant, over on the outer side. Here's another look. Nasso's header, and it was cleared away, but the goal was given, and it's 3-0 to Brisbane. And they can look forward now to a more relaxed final 15 minutes or so, and then finding out who they'll get in the cup tie in the round of 16. But Jacob Nasso is on the board with a headed goal. Fine margins, but it is 3-0 to Brisbane. And so they're going to summon perhaps a few more subs as a result now that they've got the 3-goal buffer. So Yanni Valkanis is coming on, as is Niall Tom. We saw him make his A-League debut last season, the young attacker. Jordan Lawton, with that cramp, understandably is going to be leaving the game. Justin Vidic, he'll be far happier with a goal to his name as he leaves the pitch than he would have had he not scored the opener earlier in this half. And so the double change goes through. Tom and Yanni Valkanis come on. And Sydney Olympic kick off knowing that their hopes of advancing to the round of 32, they can put a pin in that. Their focus now turns to a Sunday clash with Apia Leichhardt. That will be a tall order to get anything out of that game, but they've got 5 to go to save themselves from relegation in NPL New South Wales this year. So Yanni Valkanis, 18 years old. He only just turned 18 in June as well. So he comes in, gets to show what he can do.
And number 39, Niall.
And Niall Tom is on as well. Of course, Brisbane with a great reputation for being able to get their talent exposed and exported. Thomas Waddingham, Lucas Harrington. They're hoping to be that Queensland production line. And a foul here. Liberich able to win the free kick. Niall Tom's just going to get a telling off. Rowan Fisher has been, I think, lenient but largely excellent tonight as the central referee. We're about to tick into the final 10 minutes with the tension somewhat out of the tie now. Sydney Olympic definitely made a go of it, both when it was 0-0 and with some of the chances they created at 2-0 down. But 3 is job done for Brisbane Roar. They'll be flying the flag for Queensland along with Lions FC, given that Peninsula Power and also the Rochdale Rovers have already bowed out in the round of 32. They'll be hoping, no doubt, Lions, they'd love to draw Brisbane Roar in the round of 16. That draw coming up later tonight. As things stand, both games will be finishing in 90 minutes. South Melbourne still 2-1 in front against Adelaide United. Got another potential cramped situation for Jacob Nasso. I get that. That has violated the no Sharon rule. I apologise to everyone. We'll have to pixelate that out on the replay. Myroney. Bouncing down to Curto. He lifts a volley away. Another tactical briefing now for Charlie Parkin on the Raw bench, so he'll be the next sub given an opportunity to come out and play. He's only 17 years old, turns 18 in August. Parkin, I've seen him in the Emerging Socceroos Championships in recent seasons. He's a very promising young defender. But he's not with us just yet. Sydney Olympic have got an attacking opportunity here. And it's going to be taken quickly. Armanakis, and now the cross lifted in. It's all Raw in the middle though, sea of orange. Myroney with a header on, and then away from him, Anatidis. Grozos trying to keep the attack going. Great strength. He goes to ground though. And Brisbane Roar trying to clear. Nyor caught in possession. Aquien. A bit of afters between Niall Tom and his opponent after the ball had already been played. Niall Tom has come on and tried to really make an impact, and he knocked over Fernandez there. Free kick again taken quickly. Luca plays it back. Fernandez. Tom with a header. Nyor up against Seth Clark. Nyor breaks out to the right. Here's Illich. Is he going to play a full 90 on his competitive debut for Raw? Will his number come up at one of these ensuing substitutions? Ball back out to the right. Armanakis plays it into the middle. Fernandez, he took a little drag step, not realising that Niall Tom was about to engulf him. He was still able to keep possession. Clark. Fernandez. Now Luca. Georgios Luca has to concede ground. Michael Valkanis starting to gesticulate on the sidelines. He doesn't want the intensity to drop off just because it's 3-0. Sydney Olympic have got Jack Markwell up off the bench as well, waiting for the next break in play. Jock Aquien tried to make a go of breaking forward there, but Dimi Valkanis able to keep him covered. Now he's looking a little proppy. Could it be him who is coming off for Charlie Parkin the next time the ball goes dead? It is still live for now at the feet of Buzanis. Armanakis, through comes Myroney. Clark. Down the left side. Not much joy in the attempt to advance the ball there. Olympic don't want to leave without a goal. They don't want to go scoreless on their exit here. The Brisbane Roar seemingly steering this clean sheet to the finish line inside the final 5 minutes now. Two prospective subs are getting cold. They've watched the ball circulate around the pitch for a couple of minutes without going out here. Here's Mitchell. Clark trying to chase him down. Fernandez wants to turn back out to the right. That's where Georgios Luca is waiting. Luca cuts inside. Oh, it's nearly perfect for Armanakis. Just missed him with that pass. Tom back to his goalkeeper, Buzanis. Now, Dimi Valkanis. Over to Ability. Myroney. Out to the left, Ilic. We're all trying to change gears here and add a fourth. Marko Ilic, they've got numbers streaming forward here. Nasso's got one already. Not able to get the shot past the nearest defender as it's blocked. Is there any gap here for Olympic? The back four stayed in position for Raw. And so they can just jog back in position here. Armanakis, Luca making a run, offside. The flag goes up and Georgios Luca would not have run it down regardless, and at last, belatedly, Charlie Parkin can come on here. Special moment for him, the 17-year-old defender, another great Queensland prospect for the Brisbane Roar. And it's also an opportunity for Jack Markwell to get some minutes here. Jacob Nasso, one of the goal scorers for Brisbane Roar tonight. He makes way. And Jock Aquien is coming off here for Sydney Olympic. And he had one missed clearance in the first half, which perhaps should have ended up in the back of the net, but largely another good showing from Jock Aquien, and he has been a very important signing for Sydney Olympic. Will be looking to help them avoid relegation in their remaining 5, potentially 7 games, with the Pro-Rel playoff to come this season. And now the night is nearly over. Only 90 seconds of regulation to go. And the only intrigue perhaps is whether or not Sydney Olympic can score a goal or whether they will leave empty-handed. This will only be the second time they've played against an A-League opponent in the Australia Cup. Beaten by Sydney FC 4-2 in 2021. For the Brisbane Roar, it'll be the first time that they've won a national rounds tie in the Australia Cup since they made the final in 2023. We've only seen the one yellow card. It has been a competitive tie, but one played in the right spirit between the two teams. Bazanis roaming out of his penalty area, joining the midfield. And a long diagonal ball here. Illich stayed onside. Only Niall Tom to aim for in the middle. He bides his time and waits for support. Mitchell looks like he's going the full 90, the 17-year-old. Here's Yanni Valkanis in midfield. Out to Amanatidis. Burst of acceleration. And a deflected cross which goes out for a corner, and we tick into 3 additional minutes at the end of the 90. So if you have enjoyed watching this tie tonight, don't forget Olympic are back here at Belmore on Sunday, I should say, at 4 p.m. taking on Apia Leichhardt. The corner is dealt with. That'll be a crucial game as they battle relegation. And Apia is in a 3-team title race with Sydney United, who are in the Australia Cup round of 16 draw coming up soon. And also Marconi, who didn't make it to the national rounds this season, but of course are a foundation member of the Australian Championship. So you'll be seeing them back on the national stage again at the end of the NPL year. Myroney can roar at a 4th. It's been job done tonight for them in the Australia Cup. They could have scored more. Justin Vidic leaving with 1, but certainly had some gilt-edged opportunities. Has largely been a quiet night between the sticks for Dean Bazanis at the other end. But he stepped up when needed. Sydney Olympic rallying when they were 2-0 down. A couple of half chances when the score was 0-0. As the ball bounces on here, Niall Tom on the spin, and it goes wide. And was always seemingly heading wide. And that will take us into the last minute of stoppage. Another look here at the chance. Swept wide of the post. And now the final minute of action. Yanni Valkanis, Luca, still physical in there, and too much. Foul given against Yanni Valkanis to Georgios Luca. Trezoglovic switches out to Fernandez. Is there one last hurrah for Sydney Olympic? Just to do some adjustment to the history books when people look back on the Australia Cup in 2026. They're going to have to shift it. Time's their enemy. Trezoglovic. Fernandez all the way back to Hahn. Stoppage time expires, and the Brisbane Roar, for the first time since 2023, win an Australia Cup tie. They take care of business 3-0 at Belmore Sports Ground against Sydney Olympic, a match where the score doesn't tell quite the story, but ultimately Brisbane Roar too good, and they go through to the round of 16. Full time, Sydney Olympic 0, Brisbane Roar 3. And it's amicable. Congratulations at full time on the Brisbane Roar bench. Sydney Olympics' focus now turns to avoiding relegation from NPL Men's New South Wales, and the Roar looking to engage their fan base and bring them along for the ride in 2026-27. I imagine they'll be hoping for a home cup tie in the round of 16, get back out in front of their fans and show them what some of these Raw youngsters are all about. They're going to go over and thank their small pocket of fans on the outer side for coming and supporting them out at Belmore tonight. So let's take a look at how Brisbane Roar were able to take care of business in this tie. Justin Vidic missed a glaring opportunity among a couple, it must be said, but he did not leave empty-handed. He did eventually hit the back of the net. This was would have been a glorious goal had it scored. It rattled the crossbar instead. He was luckless in addition to a little profligate throughout the course of the game. But it was a corner kick that then teased, and Jimmy Valkanis couldn't get it to come down in time. But the chances were coming with such frequency, you felt like it was just a matter of time for Brisbane. And sure enough, the strength of Vidic to win possession, and then he lobbed it over Philip Curto in no man's land and was able to open the scoring. And then the second goal followed in short order. Myroney set Savitnor away. He got the better of Zach Zoricic, and Curto in no man's land again as Savitnor was able to slide it in. And the third goal, there was a bit of debate about it. It was cleared off the goal line, but not before it had crossed. And the referee paid the goal. Jacob Nasso got to celebrate, and that was the scoring done for the Brisbane Roar. You can see that they controlled possession, had more shots. Olympic ultimately did have 2 on target, and just the 1 yellow card on what was a well-behaved night for both teams. And South Melbourne versus Adelaide United still has a minute of stoppage to go, so if you're jumping over to that game, it's not done yet, but they do lead 2-1 against Adelaide United. Another cup set is just seconds away from happening. This Brisbane Roar, they are being acknowledged for advancing. They were in the final, the closest they've ever got to lifting the Australian Cup 3 years ago. Is this the beginning of another run to Cup prominence and maybe their first ever Cup success? They can say that it started here at Belmore tonight. My name's Teo Pellizzeri. It's been a pleasure having your company on behalf of all our broadcast crew. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, Paramount Plus and the Football Australia YouTube channel is where you can see the round of 16 Raw. But for us on this particular broadcast, thanks for watching and good night.